Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I want to go over my favorite roof rack accessory, the Rhino rack, which allows you to carry everything from fishing poles to shovels, snowboards, anything of that nature on the top of your roof on just about any type of roof rack out there. I've been really impressed with this Rhino rack system. I've owned it for 3 or 4 years. We'll get to why it's currently off the truck here in a second. But as far as withstanding the elements, it's done a wonderful job. This has probably been through one of the worst environments you could possibly put something through, and that is salty air. If you wanted to find out if something is really built well, put it in high temperature, salty air, and you'll see just how bad it is. The only environment this has not been in is very cold environments, but considering Rhino Rack was originally made, and these were specifically made for snowboarding equipment at first, I imagine the plastic's not going to crack under colder temperatures either. No UV problems to speak of. These rubber gaskets, there's no cracking or anything after 4 years. Overall, I expect these to last probably another 5 to 7 years at least, or that's what I'm hoping to get out of them. Very simple construction. You have a large push button which allows this to easily open, and for this particular size I can fit 3 rod and reels comfortably, really up to 4 if you really wanted to push it. You can do it with bait casters. When you get the larger spinning reels, that's when you start running into issues with this particular 10-inch model as far as size goes. But when it closes up tight, and when you have a key you can lock this thing down. That's probably one of my favorite aspects about it. You're not going to open that quickly and easily. It's going to take somebody with a hacksaw and probably a minute or two to at least get this open. So that's one of the main reasons I purchased this. Long story short, I love fishing. I do a good bit of it, but I have to travel anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours away to some of these areas I like to go fishing at. And usually when I travel, I go for a couple of days. When I'm carrying luggage in the truck, I'll worry about the rods banging into it, or if I have my dog with me, that they may end up with a hook in them, something of that nature, which is always a grave concern, or getting a hook in the seats. In the bed, it's only a 5-foot bed, so my rods are 7 to 8 feet. They won't fit back there. I carry gear in the back of there as well, so if any of that goes sliding around, I end up with a broken rod tip, things of that nature. I just didn't want that. So that's why I decided to go with a rooftop setup for my rods and reels. They'd be out of the way. I could have all different types of lengths that I wanted to, and it wouldn't be nearly as much of a concern of them getting damaged. And it hasn't been. I can certainly say that I've had rods up on that roof rack for thousands of miles, probably over the life of owning the Rhino racks and putting them up there. Never had a rod get damaged or broken. I've driven up to about 80-mile-an-hour speeds with the rods up there, and I've had everything from 4 feet probably to about 10 feet long rods, ranging from ultralight actions all the way up to heavy actions, and even very heavy actions that are made for 30-50 pound tests or for deep sea fishing. And I haven't had an issue with any of them. Now, on the caveat, I will add, I do add a rod sock on top of these rods, and that certainly seems to help protect them a bit. And with the wind direction and everything, what I normally do is I set the reel seat and everything towards the front of the cab of the truck, and then the rod tips are pushed towards the back. You'll get a little bit of shake in the rod tips depending on how fast you're driving and how far they extend back away from the truck, but it's nothing to really be concerned about, and they're not going to go anywhere secured in these, that's for certain. I have also taken this and gone through car washes, things of that nature. Never had an issue as far as worrying about them getting too loose in there, damaging, or getting wrapped up in a car wash. The only issue I've had since owning these is I've had some bolts go loose, and I'll show you this in a second, while going on pitted and rutted out roads with a lot of divots that just shook the bolts loose essentially on the top of the roof rack. So let me show you what I mean. When I originally purchased these Rhino racks, I simply used the regular clamp-on system, which worked great for years, and it still would have if I had been paying attention. We'll get to that in a second. But in essence, what you have is a large carry bolt that runs into the bottom of this. You can see that hole right there, but it'll go up through that, and in place, it would hold this bracket. This bracket would be connected to the bottom of the roof rack. So you have all this connected, and then you would have another piece as well. So that'd be connected to this side, and that's what makes it a universal fit. This will fit on just about any crossbar out there, whether it's factory or not. This would then be connected with these 5mm fine thread bolts. And here's the problem. I did not check to see if these would loosen over time, and after 3 years, they finally did. The locking nuts on here, or not locking, but the regular nuts on here, they don't have a nylon thread or anything, so there's nothing holding them in. I didn't use Loctite or anything of that nature either. So over time, these 5mm worked their way loose, and I was on a very rutted road, got back to the house, and I realized one of these feet were missing. You can buy replacements, but it did take quite a while to get here because of COVID and everything like that. Fortunately, if you do have a roof rack system that's aftermarket, a lot of them use essentially 1/4-inch carriage bolts to carry a lot of the gear. They are T-slots, and you get a carriage bolt. You can run the carriage bolt through the track. And once you do that, you run it through, you can insert it into the bottom of this system, and then you can use a locking nut, nylon locking nut, and now you shouldn't have any concerns at all about this working its way loose. Not only that, but it also sits a little bit more flush on top. So that's what I'm going to be changing today. This will just make it a little bit more robust, a few less parts, and something that can easily be done and make it sit a bit flatter. So what I'll start with is, this is a prinsu roof rack. They make this for a lot of different vehicles, but it just uses these T-slots and takes 1/4-inch bolts. And you can buy them at a hardware store really cheap. So I'm just going to run these down. Don't know the exact length I need. I'm then going to take my rhino rack, set it on the first one, slide it into place, and I'm going to push this just a little bit farther back. I want to have a little bit of a gap here between the edge and the side, but I want this button facing the outside. It's easier to get to. Now, one of the things to note here is when you open this, it's not going to open up fully. It'll only open up about that much or so. And the reason for that is it's not sitting quite high enough. One of the ways to alleviate this is only 1 inch carriage bolt. You can go get a 1.5 inch or 2 inch, build some spacers on the bottom here, and that way it'll raise it up so you can open this all the way over. But this is what I'm going to stick with right now. But now that I have that set up, I'm going to leave it. Locking washer and then a washer. I'm going to put those down. And then finally, a nylon nut. This is what's really going to come in handy for these bumpy roads that I deal with. I won't have to worry about it backing up, and I can check it once a year with little concern. Go ahead and tighten this in. For those interested in a rhino rack for themselves, I'll leave a link up top and in the description below so you can check it out and see if it'll fit your application. One thing to note, you do not need to over tighten these. You just want them pretty snug, and this is going to hold them in place. It's a little bit more difficult to see this one, but I'm sure I'll be able to get it. And that's on there. That's not going anywhere. It is solid as it can be. Now I just need to measure the gap from the side rail to here, and I'll do that in the front, and that'll let me know just how much space I need for the front one. And this will all be set up, and I'm just going to redo the same process up there. That one's sturdy as it can be. It's not going anywhere either. Well, there it is. Everything is installed, and as you can see, it's held in there well. Now, if you don't have these T-bars or anything of that nature, or for carriage bolts, you would do the same exact process, except you would just use those clamps. That's what I did for 3 years. It held very well, so there's no concern about that. And as you can see, they're super sturdy up there. You're not gonna have to worry about it. But let's throw some fishing poles up there, make sure everything's aligned, and you can see just how secure they are held. Well, here they all are, and they are locked in. They are not going to move much at all. And even this really flimsy rod. This is an ultralight rod. It's not moving anywhere, even with how thin that tip is. These are secure in place, and you can take these just about anywhere you want to. Only thing you got to consider is low-lying limbs and areas, but other than that, you're going to be good to go at highway speeds, bumpy roads, anything you could throw at these. I'll make sure to link this in the description below, that way you're able to find it. But guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to share, like, and subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.